Thank you for joining us today for our first episode of Breaking Ground with Gratomic. I'm Glenda Green. Joining us today is Lynne Brand, our General Manager and Head of HR Namibia. So Lynne, can you tell us how you got your start with the Aukam project?
That is an interesting story. I have been basically managing everything and anything since I was 20 years old. I was working in Cape Town. Amongst other things, I managed a construction company. Arno realized very early on that the project was going to be very difficult to manage. And his words to me were that he needs someone that he can trust and that he knows is up to the challenge, and someone who also understands him because he wasn't here at that stage. That is how I basically got into it. And in the beginning, it wasn't, we were just running programs. So we had a 3-week program or a 4-week program, 6-week program back in 2014. So it was short periods of time when I took people down, teams down to go and do the work. And eventually, I think after the first few programs, Arno just called me up and he was like, you know what? This is for you. That changed my whole life. Basically, that one decision changed my whole life. To a large degree, this has become who I am. That's my baby, the project.
What was it like for you in those early years?
I loved the first years of the project. It was exciting, it was exhilarating, everything was a challenge. So I really enjoyed it. I think because I've never been like very girly girl, I've always been very outdoorsy. I loved hiking, I loved camping. I'm a horse rider. I'm a total adrenaline junkie. To me, I was in heaven.
Tell us about your transition from the mine management side to becoming general manager and head of HR.
I'm embracing this role as well. It's a lot of responsibility. It's very, very hard work. But I like it. It's for where I am now in my life. It's perfect. It's good.
What would you say is the most challenging aspect of your role?
Balancing, just balancing the human factor with what needs to be done.
Although it's been an ongoing project for a few years, Aukam has really seen some progress in the last few months. Tell us about that.
When I look at the drone images I see now, and basically every week structures going up, and I think back to that barren piece of land that was lying there, I feel tremendously proud. And it's a wonderfully satisfying feeling. I could just smile, my heart bursts, because that it wasn't easy. It's been a lot of work, a lot of sacrifices, a lot of personal sacrifices.
From the beginning, Gratomic has put a lot of effort into hiring and training of local talent. Can you give us some background on that? How the company went about hiring and training their staff?
I think it's important to understand how we started, because when we started, it was myself with 5 guys off the street. As we went on, and every new program that we ran on the mine, we would take the guys and we would train them and say, like, this is what we're going to do now, and this is how we're going to do it. They didn't have any specific skills. They didn't have any formal education. Most of them didn't even go to high school. As we progressed, the tasks got more complicated, and they got all this training throughout the years, to the point where a lot of these people trained to be plant operators and can now continue working in the production plants without any formal education. I also learned at every step. This is how they grew. When we started the pilot plant, as a project manager, I'm very dependent on resources I'm given. I have been given amazing resources by management. They have sent just wonderful people to come and train us. For instance, when we started the pilot plant, we had Ian Flint. He's an expert in the field. He came down, he spent weeks with us we worked that pilot plant. He taught us like every single step. We all stood in the sun. We all floated graphite. We all screened graphite. We understood the process back to front. He took us into the lab. He taught us every single step. The way I look at it now is that over the last 7 years and what we've put into, especially the local laborers, we've given them a career opportunity, something that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And that is, especially in a country like Namibia, where the unemployment rate is very, very high. I mean, the market is absolutely flooded. The people that have stood by us over the last years at Gratomic, they have a livelihood. That's what we've given them.
So Lynne, can you break down for us the impact that COVID has had on the team and the project?
Our people are very, very grateful for the fact that we are stable. We didn't have to let any of our people go, and we're also not talking about it letting any people go. This is an advantage that most Namibians don't have at this stage. Procurement has become very difficult because a lot of the supplies in Namibia comes from South Africa. So that's been challenging. We don't have as many trucks bringing supplies in as we used to. A lot of the suppliers have closed their doors because they just couldn't make it. It's become very difficult. Supplying and sourcing what we need, we try to manage it better. So I now know that I need about 2 or 3 weeks lead time to procure all my supplies, especially for things that I need to bring across the borders. But, we're managing it.
I know that Gratomic has put a lot of time and effort into community programs and just recently donated 70,000 Namibian dollars to the Drought Relief Program. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Namibia has gone through one of the worst periods of drought in I don't know how many 100 years. And basically, this has brought the country to its knees. We're very dependent on farming, and this situation was devastating. They created this drought relief program whereby people can donate money to import grass and lucerne to the farmers who basically supplying the country with food. Gratomic's support came at a time when funds started drying up, so people weren't in a position to make donations and help farmers out. And I've seen some of the responses to, a truck pulling up with food on the back for animals, where farmers just burst into tears crying because the animals are literally lying on the farm dying of hunger. There's no other way to put it. The Namibian drought was absolutely devastating. So I thought that was a noble gesture. And I think it also showed the country and the people that we are invested. We are here to help the community when they really, really needed it.
What advice would you give other women in mining?
It is very much a male-dominated industry. I think you have to be very strong in yourself, because I know what it feels like to be met with, sort of disbelief or, oh, who are you? The look on people's faces when they meet you. I'll never forget, we had a blaster coming onto site, expert in his field, older gentleman, very traditional, and he got out of his car and I came down from the mine and I was pitch black from graphite. And he asked me when he saw me, he says, I'm looking for your site manager. And I looked at him, I was like, yeah, you found her. And he just stood there staring at me. And I said to him, and if you're over it, we can get on with it. And he just burst out laughing and we were fine. So I think you sort of have to look past all of the doubt that people have in you, and you have to show them that you know what you're talking about. To be very strong in yourself and your knowledge, and to believe in what you're doing.
If you could share with us one lesson you've learned throughout this project, what would that be?
I think if I had to sum up a lesson I learned from it, it's such a cliche, but it really, for me, it's very true. Never, ever to give up.
Thank you so much for your time today, Lynne. It was so nice catching up with you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Let's do this again soon.
Bye.
Bye.